Hello and welcome to Past the Pop Culture. I'm Mrphen alongside Ricky.
What's up, guys?
And today we got somewhat, I guess, a Blizzard day. Because, what else is there to talk about but good old Blizzard. But
Yeah,
pretty much we're
yeah,
going to be kind
yeah.
of talking about Diablo Immortal finally, actually. I don't think we really talked about Diablo Immortal.
Yeah. There's been a lot of talks about Diablo
but
Immortal
we
in
haven't talked
general,
about
but
it.
we haven't, yeah. So
And I
we can
have
kind
stuff to
of,
say about that, but
yeah, because you especially because you've been playing it a lot. I
yeah.
I refuse to play it, but
Well,
you
I
wanna
regret it. I regret it is what I'm saying. But yeah, also that Call of Duty anti-cheat is somewhat working finally.
get a little bit better, get a little
Yep,
bit more.
yep. And
But
Overwatch 2 beta, which was
yeah,
actually another interesting topic because, it's all about the money. And we'll probably close it off with, Lightyear. But
yeah,
let's start with Diablo Immortal because I have experience. They made a
that,
lot of money.
yeah. They made stupid money. 24
Yeah.
million.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, 24 million.
And this is
2 weeks.
without it being out in China.
This is microtransactions
Yeah.
pretty much. That's it. That's that they
It's it's uh it's sad. Especially because everyone's complaining about it and the Metacritic of it is like 0.5 and everybody hates it and everyone's yelling at them. But then it's like, well, if everybody hates it, how'd they make 24 million?
Yeah, I think the problem, like, of course, because like everyone doesn't like the monetization with it. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
likes microtransactions. But from what I've been told, the gameplay is solid, and from what you've kind of said, it's good. It's just that you have to pay. What'd you say, like, to fully max out a character is like
It's
tens of
like
thousands of
like a hundred
dollars, or
thousand dollars
yeah, it's like so
essentially.
it's pretty ridiculous, and I don't know, like maybe the only like super egregious like microtransaction or in-game purchases was
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront 2, where like that was the only big one that I remember,
Mm-hmm.
like that has kind of like exploded like this in terms of like the amount of hate that it's getting. But they're
Mm-hmm.
still making that money, so people are still swiping the credit card, but they're upset, and
I
until they're
know.
not buying the stuff,
Yeah, it's like just
then
don't. I think it's maybe like the streamers because the streamers are spending a hefty amount.
yeah,
Like,
but 24 million, how many big
well, I mean, like, okay,
streamers
let's
make
see.
up like all that money?
I'm trying to think. Like one streamer, Rich Campbell, he spent like $20,000. Another one spent like almost 30,000 New Zealand dollars. Asmongold, I mean, Asmongold quit, but he spent like $4,000. So it's like I think if the streamers are willing to spend $20,000 and there's bigger whales than that, it's like, whew,
Yeah, and that's the main problem with this game. It's whales, right? Like
yeah,
they're just gonna soak up everything, and then well you can't, you'll get out competed, right? Like just because you're not
it's
willing to
bad.
swipe the credit card,
Yeah,
or they got like mommy's credit card, and then they just go in,
yeah.
take out like and then because you're saying like it's like the first dungeon, right? They already want like a microtransaction from you. It's like
Yeah, so how the monetization works is, let's see, how do I explain this? Because it's literally the whole game. It's not just like one part. Like I can kind of understand, like, okay, fine, it's a mobile game. They got to make money. Gotchas and all that stuff. But like you kind of play, and it's like the reason I kind of got hooked into it, and I think a lot of people got hooked into it, is because when you first start, there's really like no, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. But it's like,
mm,
oh, okay, so it can be free to play. And then you do your first dungeon, and you're like, oh, this is a cool idea. And then as soon as you finish it, you walk out. It says, surprise, 800% value, 99 cents. You buy this one-time bundle now. And
yeah,
so it's like, okay, 99 cents, sure. But, naive me and probably the rest of the people who play, they're like, let's keep playing. And then a little
yeah.
bit later, like down the line, here's a battle pass. All right, maybe that's fine. Oh, by the way, we have like 4 different battle passes, I guess. I don't even. It's like only the battle pass is fine, but then they have, I don't remember what it's called, but like Boon of Plenty or something. And you get gems, but it's not even like the best gems. And then they just keep like throwing stuff at you every single dungeon, and the price
Hmm.
increases. It goes from like 99 cents to $1, $5, $10, $20, etc.
Yeah.
and it's not even like to make you like the best. And that's not even talking about the rifts. Rifts is pretty much using something like the repeating content. You can spend legendary gems, which you can only get, from what I understand, if you buy them or the battle pass. But you can, buy them separately, and you can have up to a total of $25 a rift. And that's where the streamers are spending like $30,000 because they're constantly doing rifts for 8 hours, $25 a pop, and it takes like roughly like 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Wow. So that adds up a lot. But where kind of the gambling and the quote unquote illegal stuff comes from is just because you spend $25 a rift doesn't mean you're guaranteed the best.
Good, right?
Yeah. So not only that, but you can get a gem, but it might not be a 5-star, which is like the best gem. And like the Quinn69, who spent like almost 30,000 New Zealand dollars, he was only going to keep playing until he got a 5-star gem. So he would just play rifts only and then constantly spend $25, $25, $25, and he barely got one like 2 days ago. So it's like,
it's making my headache worse, man, listening to this.
Yeah, it's I don't know how they got away with this. And it's like, once I thought, Blizzard was scummy for, all the scandals that are happening, and then they throw this in, it's just like, do they even care? That's my big question.
I don't know, man. I think it's like part of it. It's like if we would just stop paying for the stuff, like if we would just not like indulge into it, then yeah, I think like they would see like, oh, okay, yeah, the player base isn't responding. They're clearly receptive to this, and people are paying. Like they've made 24 million off of about, it says 8.5 million downloads in its first 2 weeks, right? So yeah, like people are clearly paying. People are clearly willing to throw money at it. And yeah, like, it's 99 cents here, it's $1 here, 5, 20, and then, you spent a couple thousands in the game. And yeah, like, I mean, these kinds of games are way more lucrative, right? Because especially how the way that they're set up, they make you get in-game coins or gems, or they typically convert your real money into like, fake in-game money. And then when you buy in-game products, it doesn't hurt as much. And then typically you're only buying, 99 cents, $10, $20 worth of stuff, right? $25 a pop. Yeah. Versus like if you go outright, you go to GameStop, you purchase the game, $60, that hurts a little bit more because it's a little bit higher. And in your head, like you have to go in there and like actually hand over the money, even if it is your card. Versus it's like, oh, just put your little credit card info, and then whenever you want, just buy 99 cents worth of gems or whatever, right? Like, oh, okay, well, they do that. It's all, I guess, predatory in terms of like trying to get people to hand over their money more. So it's kind of tough because there's like a whole psychology to it, right? Like to all this stuff. Like they don't do this stuff just because they're like, they just think, oh, maybe it's gonna work. Like no, they know where
they know what they're doing.
Dopamine hit, right? They know what they're doing. They know the psychology behind it. Getting your dopamine hit from beating the boss and then going, oh, we can get you even more powerful or whatever. There's a whole science. They have it down, like especially like AAA companies. They have it down to a science, like how to increase the chance of you shelling out more money.
Yep.
And so like it is sad because it's like, how do we combat this outside of just not playing it? Because we can complain, but if they're making the money, they don't care, right? Like everyone can complain.
Exactly.
But if, the best way is to vote with your dollar by going, no, I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to download it, play the game. Or if you play the game, you're just not going to pay for the stuff. But, most people become a paying customer. Very few people won't pay, especially if they want to do any level of competitiveness. And that's the part, because you were saying too, like, they were like, oh, it's only cosmetic, right?
Yeah, they flat out lied, and it's on record that they lied. They pretty much said, oh, no, yeah, just spend your money on cosmetics only. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but, it's not. They always say, oh, it's just a little bit, man. Like, it's just cosmetics. It's just like, oh, well, if you want to do this a little faster, It's not going to ruin
Yeah.
the competitive game.
You get extra something.
Yeah, like it's just you get a little something here. If you don't want to spend so much time grinding through the dungeons, then you can just pay for it, right? It's always stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just little things here and there, and then it's like, oh well, oh no, a meta formed around that, right? Because
Yep.
the meta will form, and then you have to pay, right? And then, you know, especially streamers and stuff who rely on these kind of games, or you know, Diablo, or you know, whatever microtransaction fest games that are out there, that they rely, and they know that, especially streamers, right? And then of course the worst part is you see kids, right? They see
Mm-hmm.
them paying for it, right? And that's been a big problem with a lot of like the gambling sponsor streams, right? The kids see it, they think, oh well, I can get that, right? Or like, you know, of course all these big streamers, like, you know, they have tons of money to throw
Exactly.
at these games, right? So like they can, so but you know, of course it's like it's the gambling mechanic, like, oh okay, am I gonna get high tier loot, high tier loot, high tier loot, and everyone wants to get the high tier loot, right? And then it's like this cascading effect where like you're gonna have, you know, little kids watch it who like Diablo, and then they're gonna want to pay for it, and then they're gonna think, because like especially younger people, they're like, they don't know a time before games were like this, you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
Like our nieces and nephews, like when they're on Roblox or whatever, like they like, or mobile phone games, like they're used to the microtransactions, like it's a thing, like
Yeah, it's normal
they've
for
always,
them.
yeah, like for them it's like, oh, they just ask like, hey, can I like pay for this like 99 cents worth of tokens, and then oh okay, sure, yeah, like that's probably where that, and then it's, you know, they, when they grow up, and then they're going to be like used to it, and then it's not going to matter. But like there was a time in gaming where it was, you get the product you paid for, and that was it.
Yep.
You know, and so
The good
I don't
days.
know how we can I don't know how we can go back to that, where it was literally, yeah, like once you started getting into like past the PS2, you know, era, like it became, I think it's because, you know, the internet became a lot easier to use. So it was so easy just to be like, oh, we'll just update it, you know, like, oh, you don't have to put out a finished product, and you don't have to you know, be honest with your customers anymore, right? Like it's just because you can just change it on the fly. Like that's what happens a lot of the times,
we'll
right?
fix it eventually.
Right? Like even was it Halo Infinite, right? Like we don't like the battle pass, right? But they already made all their money at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you know, people pay for the battle pass or the cosmetics, but people didn't like it, right? And then they can just change it on the fly, like, oh no, we changed it, all right. And then everyone's like, yay, it's better now. And it's like, well, they already made their money, right? But like, because
yeah,
like,
so it doesn't matter at that point.
yeah, like they already made the vast majority of their money, right? Like they already made a lot, so it's like it's not going to matter. Like, and they can just change it like that. There's nothing we can really do about it, because outside of just not participating in it. But then you lose the competitive edge in a lot of these games, right? Like, well, Halo Infinite was more cosmetic, but in Diablo's case, right? Like you can't compete, right? Like you're not. And then like again, the streamers, right? Like they're going to be willing to pay for it. Smaller streamers are going to be willing to pay for it because they still want to try to compete, and hopefully they get big, right? And then people watch that, and then they're willing to pay for it. And then just even semi-casual who want to do competitive, they're going to be forced to play, even though they don't really want to, but they're going to have to pay just a little bit, just because some people just like the PvP, or just somewhat just, you know, just competition in general, right? Like, and so it's just kind of sad that it's just, it's not a good thing for games. I don't know. I think especially like how games now are like because like our cousin Angel, right? Like when we were playing Call of Duty last week, is like you can't play casual anymore, right? Like everyone agrees, like you have to be sweat mode 100% all the time. So like games are always competitive, or I said like hyper competitive now. If it's multiplayer, which I like a good competitive game, right? Like I like going against other players too, but especially when a lot of Blizzard games require, like, the whole core mechanic of it is the competitive aspect to it.
Yeah.
They're really like monetizing that, where you have to pay for the stuff. That's when it really stings.
I think that's what sucks though, because as like, since I was, or I guess am, a Blizzard fan, and like everybody else is, it's like it was never this bad. It was never like so obvious that they're just like money hungry or whatever. And it's like for them to poop on like one of their biggest IPs of Diablo, and just to completely just spit on the fans and everything, it's like It's like we should have seen this coming with, World of Warcraft. They added store mounts and they added the WoW token that you can buy with real money, and it's like, and then even like Overwatch, right? Because we are going to talk about number 2, but like in the first one, you can buy loot boxes to maybe get some skins, but let's gamble away.
Yeah, but it's random. You don't have a high chance.
Exactly.
Like and I guess the hard part too is like because it's harder for like smaller, more indie companies to compete, right? And they have to kind of like adopt some of these things because, well, that's how the gaming industry is, right?
Yeah.
And then so if they want to secure, investors and stuff, I'm assuming like, yeah, like you can't just sit there and be like, oh no, we're not going to charge any microtransactions, right? And they're like, well, what do you mean?
But then how do I get money?
Like, yeah, and it's like, well, it's probably a little bit harder to get investors when you're not willing to try to get as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. It's not very good. I don't like. I always say, and I always tell everyone, it's like, well, we're in the dark age of video games, right? Like, we're not. Like the golden age is gone, right? I mean, it's been gone for a while, but yeah, like with the Overwatch 2, the beta is coming out, right, June 28th. I don't know. Did you want to try it? Because like I know they had their first one a while back, and then I don't know. I'm just not too like interested in Overwatch because then.
I'm not either, but I mean, I'll try it because it's Overwatch 1, but with a 2 behind it, So it's it's not that. I mean, I haven't played it, so I could be 100% wrong, but it's kind of the same thing, just a different.
Well, from gameplay, like everyone's talking about, it seems like it's kind of just like a couple changes and that's it.
Yeah, so it's like, why make 2? Because that's what everyone's saying, right? It's like, why'd you call it Overwatch 2? Just fix the first one and update it.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really know what's the. I don't know what's the mindset like at Blizzard. I think it's very. I kind of want to know like, because I understand they're a company at the end of the day. They have to make money, but it's like they'd make more money if they just make a good product
or
like,
be
in
honest.
Good faith. Yeah, like I feel like they probably because like Blizzard lost a lot of its good faith a long time ago, right? But it used to be the Blizzard was the standard. You wanted to work for Blizzard.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to.
Yeah, like if you work at Blizzard, there's like a certain like prestige, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Top
like,
of the world.
Like oh, you're a developer. Like oh yeah, you make games. Like you're not some just whatever loser working at some other indie studio. You're like no, you're in the big leagues. But it's just like that's such a fall from grace. Especially with other companies like. Same thing like Bethesda, right? Like they've lost a lot of their goodwill. CD Projekt Red, right?
Gone.
With Cyberpunk, like gone. And that was gone after one game because that was just so bad, right? Like The Witcher 3. Everyone was like they're like the darlings, right? Of gaming, and everyone's like, oh, we can probably they can lead the way. They can lead the way. And show that you make a good quality game, people will, Game of the Year awards. Everyone's gonna throw their money at you, and then what happened? They took that good faith, right? It's with Cyberpunk, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna squeeze this much money out of everybody, and then they end up losing so much money because of it, right? Yep. Like people wanted returns, and it's such a fiasco. Like they were just kicked off of PlayStation. Like Sony kicked them out, right? Because they actually had to give refunds. There's so much uproar, they actually had to give refunds. Right. And and then so now it's just like and then their stocks fell and then this and that and then people they had like people were trying to sue them. They're like, oh, why'd you guys do this? The investors were all pissed off and it was a fiasco, right? Like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to be underhanded. They didn't have to be sneaky, right? And again, I don't like to blame like individual game designers or developers, right? Like because for the most part they want to create a good game, they want to create a good product, right? Like no one becomes a game designer just because they want to go and create microtransactions, right? But
exactly.
What a lot of times it's just like their boss or like the head honcho somewhere just telling them what to do. It's just but like the individual game designers, like they don't want to make that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to be the guy that put in the microtransactions, right? Like in Diablo, there's some game developer or some game programmer, right? That was just like they put that in there that they had to do that, and then they probably don't feel that great knowing that like everyone's mad at them. For
see, that's the thing in terms of Blizzard when like all this stuff is happening, all the like developers and like people who actually like cared about Blizzard games, they left. They're like, nope, I'm done. And then they made their own studio, and it's like, well, we'll just do it the right. Well, hopefully, we'll we'll do it the right way, you know. But it just sucks, man.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, the only really thing that Activision Blizzard that I can kind of praise them for is that they've been trying to attack cheaters a lot more. They've been a little more ambitious on trying to get them out. So we're kind of seeing it more now where they're making like their weapons vanish right now, like right from the from PC Gamer. There's an article, Call of Duty now makes cheaters' weapons vanish. So if you guys listen to the podcast, want to look it up for yourself and kind of see the article, you can go see it on PC Gamer. But yeah, like I'm glad that they're trying to do more anti-cheat. Yeah. But I always feel like it's just the game designer, the developers, they're always one step behind. I feel like no matter what when it comes to cheaters, and that's just the nature of the beast. I feel like they're always gonna be one step behind, right? There's gonna be some new tech, new workaround, new bug, new exploit, new something, right? That they're gonna be able to do it, and it's just like all that effort, man, to just so that you can hack Call of Duty and
I just don't understand it.
I don't get it, but it makes a lot of money. It's a lucrative business, right? Something I've been seeing a lot, especially on TikTok, is you have people who, and I haven't seen one in a while, but I know a while back there was people would just be straight up cheaters, right? Streaming.
Yeah. Okay, I see that too. Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, buddy, if you like the cheats, go to my website. You can buy them. They're just straight up selling. They're literally just playing the game so they can sell them. $50 a pop, $100 a pop, $10 here. There's hardware that you can buy, right? Just straight up plug it into your PlayStation or your Xbox, there's money to be made, right? This isn't Game Genie. You know what I mean? You get extra lives. Yeah, it's you get an extra life in Super Mario Bros. Or whatever. Oh no, and that's the thing, because couch co-op. You piss off your friend. You're not actively ruining the experiences of millions of players online, right? Because that's what you're doing. When it comes to cheaters, right, or even in the competitive space, right? Those top level players are taking the slots of actual true talented players.
Yep.
But they're using cheats, so they're gonna win.
Right? And they're making bank because a lot of streamers allegedly
donations and stuff like that, or just ad revenue.
And they say, "Oh yeah, I'm just so good. I have a 6 KD. I'm not cheating."
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things where it's well, you're taking the spot of someone who actually deserves it. And that's the part that gets me more riled up, because it's there are real, actual, good players who are practicing, trying to get in, and then they can't. You just can't win because they're cheating. They got walls. They got something, right? I don't care if it's you're just playing locally with your friends and want to mess around with some hacks or whatever. I don't care. But the problem is one, you're making money off of it, right? And a lot of times, I used to think that a lot of these cheaters or hackers were just kids, right?
Nope.
They were oh, I wanna try to be good at the game, and then they buy the hack, right? $20, $100, whatever. They pay for this. But there's grown adults, grown people, grown men that are oh, I'm gonna use cheats and say that I'm good, right? That's the part where I'm just dude, just get good at the game.
It's you should be working at McDonald's. Why are you trying to convince us that you're good at the game? Trash can.
And it's well, it's just I don't get it, to me, where it's just you have so many people gloating, right? Because even in the article they mentioned that they always gloat. Everyone, when they're oh, I'm so good, or oh, you're trash, dude. You're literally using a wall hack. You literally can see him where he's going, or you have all your shots are landing, headshots. Of course you're gonna win the gunfight, right? Yeah. And so we've seen what we presume to be a cheater here and there, but a lot of them are just bad players. It's they're not good.
I just watched a video of a cheater who's streaming and all that, and he's affiliate or whatever, and he was absolute doo-doo with cheats. Yeah. And then he gets to the point where I guess he turns off the cheats. So oh yeah, I'm actually good. But when he's getting absolutely trashed on, he turns on his cheats.
Hmm.
And then says, "Oh yeah, see, I'm good," and it's like how like what's
Yeah,
wrong?
but yeah, it's because they have like the superiority complex right here, like right, like they're like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool, right? But anyways, to go back to the article though, that what they're pretty much doing now, and I do kind of like that because it's frustrating the cheater,
Yeah,
and I think that's what you have to do. You have to frustrate them
because then they won't
because
do it.
then it's yeah, they're not gonna do it because if you just ban their account, they'll just make a new one or buy
Yeah.
the game again or like Warzone's free, right? So it's like you just make a new account. So frustrating them or inconveniencing them pretty much is the best way
Mm-hmm.
to try to get these guys out. But so like of course you have the damage shield, right? Where the gunfire does no damage. That's been in for a while
It's
now.
funny to
Like
watch.
yeah, yeah, of course. It's like because yeah, there's times where like we're getting shot. I'm like, how am I getting shot at so much and I'm not dying? But yeah, that one's a good one, and they kind of started off with that one,
Mm-hmm.
and that one and kind of took out a lot of people, right? Like, I mean, they're saying I don't know where I can't remember in the article, but they're like they taken out like 50,
Yeah, when they
90,000.
first introduced it and like you couldn't do damage
Yeah,
to anybody, it was like 50,000 cheaters that they banned. That's a
yeah,
lot.
like 50,000 people. Like you're constantly getting a mix of like, yeah, there's millions of people playing, but with that amount, like you're probably consistently somewhat going against a cheater in a game,
Yeah.
and so it's just it doesn't make it as fun. But yeah, so like the cloaking one, right? Like
I like that one too. I like all these
yeah,
like
so
what
it's
they're
like
doing.
so yeah, they become invisible, right?
Yeah.
Like the cheater can't see anybody. They have the new one, right? That they're just coming out with is the disarm one, right? So they just can't use
It's
their
just
weapons.
the reactions, Ricky. It's like, oh, what happened to my gun? I think my
Mm,
game's bugged. It's like, okay, relax. Alt tab, Control Alt
yeah,
Delete. Go ahead, turn it off. It's like you're not fooling nobody.
yeah. I would definitely like to try to see them tackle streamers that are cheating.
They're not.
I
They
want.
can't. They won't.
I know, but it's
Because you
like
know how much. I'm not gonna. Never mind. I was
like
gonna start.
literally Call of Duty streamers were just like cut in half probably.
Well, no.
Like again.
I think if how do I say this so we don't get canceled? If they can't like if they go after the big streamers because there are huge streamers that are cheating and like there's YouTube
Mhm.
channels that are trying to whatever, and it's if they get rid of those, like don't you think maybe more genuine and like I don't want to say like us, but like us, they would like start to rise to the up on the totem pole, and like wouldn't that just be like
Real
overall?
gamers rise
Yeah,
up,
wouldn't that be
right?
like overall? I'm not trying to make it sound like we deserve to be
No,
popular,
I know what
but
you mean, but
it's
like
just
it's
like
just
everything
actual
would be so much
talent.
better. Yeah, everything would be so
Yeah,
much
well, because
better.
that's the problem. Like, because even like, well, there's smaller streamers that like I'll watch, or I see
Yeah,
other people play, right? But they're like genuinely good, right? Like they're actually good
exactly.
players. They bring up the console. They're like, look, it's real, like, right? And then
Yeah,
everyone's like, oh, I was just joking, man. I didn't think you were cheating, right? But like, there's like people that are actually really good, and they deserve to rise to the top, right? Like,
yeah,
and then you have a lot of personalities that I mean, I get it. Like, I understand it to a certain degree, like, because there's like that pressure to always stay good, right?
yeah,
Like, because once you start slowing down, once you're not as good, people stop watching you. So there's that stress, like, where you have to be good all the
hmm,
time, 100%. You can't have a bad game. You can't have
yep.
a bad day. You can't
That's
have a
why
bad week.
esports are hard.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I respect it to a degree, right? Because when like you see like one like I forgot what tournament we were watching, but like one guy
Hmm.
was just getting absolutely dumped on in the Halo
Yeah.
Infinite tournament,
Oh,
and then
okay.
everyone was like trolling him in the
Trash.
chat
Yeah.
and like yeah, like I'm like bro, the dude could take out 90% of the
Yeah.
people like of the player base, like just like that, right? Like if we're being honest, like when you're at that high of a level, you're just better than the average player.
Like,
Like
go
you're
ahead,
gonna
join
take out most
tournaments, see
people.
what happens.
But yeah. So it's like I still respect them to a certain degree because it's like nah, like you're clearly a better player than like
Hmm.
if I was that level, then yes, I can talk trash. But like yeah, like so you and then it's constantly like you just get dogged on, right? Like
Hmm.
so I understand that there's a certain level of like stress that
Yeah.
comes with being at the top, and so you do want to use cheats because then you just you probably you're having a bad game or you're having a bad day and you don't want to really like try hard, but again like you just got to hope that you build up a respectful audience where they understand that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's some audience that will like respect that, like, hey, I'm just having a bad game, having a bad day,
Yeah.
and then hopefully they still watch, right? But yeah, I get the stress, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's still cheating. You're still making money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking the slot of someone who deserves it more, and then it's like, because there are those that just rise to the top by cheating, right?
Yep.
They're not good players who go to cheating to help themselves stay at the top, so because they're burnt out. There's just the people who just straight up cheat all the way to the top, or not even all the way to the top, but they gain an audience just by cheating, and then that's when it's like,
and then they make a living off cheating. It's like, how can you live with yourself?
and then it's like, they sell, like, especially those ones that they're not big, but they sell the cheats to other people, right?
No.
So then it doesn't create a good community of players, right? And then so we've seen like 50 or 90,000 like accounts like that were cheating, right? Like that's a lot of people. Like, yeah, the game's in the millions, but that's a lot of people. Like I don't know how. I think until like they start getting the Twitch streamers and they start getting them to like stop cheating, right?
Well, I mean, they kind of are, because if you get caught cheating in a video game and you're streaming on, I guess, Twitch, you get banned. Like your account gets banned from like streaming, and I think they should start like kind of being a little bit more aggressive in that, because there is like it's obvious. I mean, of course, it'll be hard to prove it, but I think they just gotta start
it's
chopping them up.
It's usually obvious to some degree, yeah. But like there's like a lot of ways you can see and get it checked. But of course, like even other platforms, right? Like YouTube's not as like strong on it. Yeah. It's mainly more Twitch, right? Like again, TikTok, right? Like there's tons of them that are cheating on there because TikTok doesn't really like enforce it. Like they're not gonna go like, I mean, how could they, right? Like there's so many people, like just to like for one game to try to kick out all the cheaters, right? And it's not really like their core base of like followers or users or anything like that. So it's like it's kind of tough to do that. So they're always gonna be sneaking and like in the shadows they're gonna be there. Those kind of cheaters, right? Like selling the product, trying to, they gain a following off of that, off of cheating. But yeah, no, I am glad though that Call of Duty is at least trying to do something. But yeah, like I don't know, like because there's no like perfect solution, right?
Okay, so do you think if, I know it's free to play right now, but like maybe just putting a price tag of like $20, like do you think the cheaters would just like drop off drastically?
I mean, I think it would stop them from creating just like new accounts, but I don't know. I don't think Call of Duty would put money on it because remember, like we've talked about earlier on podcasts, like maybe like a month ago, where like Call of Duty was bleeding a lot of users. Not a lot of people are playing it anymore. So I don't think making people pay for it is really like a smart business decision, I guess, like because they're losing players and then forcing a price tag on it, right? Or even maybe it's free, but if you get banned, then you have to pay for it. Maybe trying to implement something like that I can see that maybe working rather than like just straight up price tag the first time. So like, because of course your account gets banned, then you have to pay for it again. And then, you charge, $30 like, yeah, like a lot of people can afford to pay for it, but you've been banned like 5-6 times, then it
adds up.
Yeah, it starts adding up. But again, there's just gonna be some rich kid who's just gonna swipe his mommy's credit card, and you know what I mean. Like it's kind of hard. Like I think the direction of just frustrating the cheaters, right, where they don't want to play anymore, I think is better, right? Because like charging them more money, it's only going to take out certain cheaters, right? But not all of them.
Well, I guess it would also it would also anger the people who are playing legit and be like, oh, I have to pay $20. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and then they just got banned randomly, right? Because it happens, someone gets banned. It's like, well, what I do? And they're like, nothing. You can't select like
cancel an arcane.
The RNG RNGesus was just like, you get banned today. Like, I don't know why.
I would be so bad, like so sad if I got banned. It's like
you got all your skins, but I mean, well, you're not gonna need it for Warzone.
Maybe they should just ban me. So. Just kidding.
All right, but I think that's pretty much. Oh no, we still have Lightyear, right? So the last thing we're gonna talk about, I guess, for today mainly is just that.
Ended on a sad note.
Yeah, ended on a sad note. It's just that we have Lightyear. The Buzz Lightyear movie essentially didn't do as well as people thought it was. That people were thinking it was going to make 70 million, but on the weekend, and it's only made 51 million. And so Jurassic World made 58.6 million, right? So their second place, Lightyear is second place, but I don't know. I just didn't really see like Lightyear being like a big blockbuster title, if that makes sense, right? Like, of course, I think especially, right, like it's Father's Day, when it comes out, like I think most of the fathers want to go see Jurassic World, Top Gun, you know what I mean?
not a kids movie, right?
Yeah, I don't like.
Too busy golfing.
I mean, yeah, they probably do, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how many fathers, like that's not really a tough decision. I feel like for most fathers to be like, oh, I want to see a cooler movie, right? And then it's like, oh, or like a
Jets,
movie, right?
action, Tom Cruise, or Lightyear.
Yeah,
and it's not even the original guy.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't really care about Lightyear too much. I mean, I know people have told us, oh yeah, it's good, but no one's like super impressed.
I mean, Dario said it was like a 9 out of 10, and he's right next to you.
Yeah. So Dario, was it 9 out of 10? Did you say for Lightyear? Or what's the rating for Lightyear?
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, we'll put you on the spot.
How can you?
He doesn't want the name drop. Yeah, but it's just one of those things where it seems like a lot of people are just kind of like lukewarm on it to a certain degree, or they some people do like it, which is fine. But I don't know. It just
I'd rather see Top Gun.
This movie. Nobody wanted to see this movie in terms of like, or not wanted to see. I'm sorry. No one felt like they needed this movie. Yeah. I feel like everyone.
Nobody asked for it.
I mean, I like Toy Story, right? I grew up on it, but again, like, I mean, I don't really watch Pixar movies anymore. Like, I'm not a huge like Disney or Pixar guy, so it's a little different for me. But I just
they should have done a Woody movie instead of Lightyear. The more important
like a Western, like a full on Western, but it's just
like how cool would that be? Like the actual story of the toy, like why is there a toy of Woody?
Yeah, like
because that's essentially what this movie is, right? I mean, we haven't seen it, but like it's the story about the actual person, which is the toy, what like the toy's based off of. But it's like I know Lightyear was like a also an important character, but it's like I think Toy Story is more Woody.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, because like Woody was kind of set up more as the protagonist, right?
Yeah.
Even though there's like a huge cast, but yeah, he kind of follows Woody a bit more. Both like Buzz Lightyear. But I don't know. It's just like Top Gun was good. Yeah, I didn't see Jurassic World. So, you said you saw it, right? You thought it was alright. I mean, he was just putting this. He got Chris Pratt just putting the hand out. Everyone's just memeing that. Like I
think the memes did kind of ruin the movie for me, though. I'm gonna say that right now. Because I saw a lot of like TikTok memes where it's like, oh, Chris Pratt thinking he can stop anything with just his hand, and it's like an avalanche or something. And it's like. And then because there's a scene where they all do it at once, and it's like, okay, I'm done.
It's just you cringe, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't want to watch this movie anymore. It's like get me out of this theater.
That's sometimes, man. Like when I'm watching a movie and the movie just makes me like cringe, and I'm just like,
yep,
I want to walk out of the theater. Yeah, but I would definitely like. I don't know.
I mean, Jeff Goldblum. Go watch it because of him, because he's a beautiful man, but. That's personal preference.
Yeah, you're not wrong though. But
still sticking with 9 to 10.
Still stay okay. The verdict is in 9 out of 10. That's on the internet forever. So.
All right, by Dario, Ricky's best friend. 9 out of 10. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in the corner of Ricky's room.
yeah, he's in the corner. He says, "I'm not on camera," but so no one will know. Yeah,
smart.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything, though. Yeah, so Buzz Lightyear, I wouldn't call it a flop. I mean, oh no, it only made 51
better than
million.
Morbius, though.
Morbius made more $1 billion. What is it? It's like it made more $1 billion. They had. Yeah, but no, I love that they brought it back a second time and it made like $18 per theater or something. Yeah, I was like, that was amazing that we memed it into coming back. So we'll just meme Lightyear to come back and then no one will buy it.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not sure if this is really like a because people are kind of like, oh, this is like an indicator, like, oh, like the box office and stuff like that, and people are like, oh, you know,
No,
this is a Disney and Pixar, they're losing the power. No one cares. I'm like, dude,
no.
I think it's just, I think
Nobody
it's a mixture
wanted
of it being Father's Day weekend. Nobody really cared. Nobody wanted this movie, and it just
Yep.
really, it didn't do a lot to really bring people to the theater. I think Disney, you know, especially Pixar, has really been using the name recognition to draw people in more rather than like they've been relying on like, well, it's a Disney movie, you go and watch it, right? Like,
Controversy.
or it's a Pixar movie, right? Like, they have the name recognition, but I think that that's not enough right now to like draw people in to watch a movie. I don't know. To some degree, like I think because they've always relied on that, and I think just I don't know, like people are kind of tired of the mouse. You know, I think that's just kind of what it is. I think it's just some exhaustion that it's coming from these kind of things, because like, you know, they just get kind of pumped out, right? Because remember, like as a kid, the Pixar movies are a little more special. I feel like because they wouldn't just like. I always feel like there's another Pixar movie kind of, I'm like, oh, okay, and then now it's like, eh. But
actually,
I
think you are. Yeah, you're kind of right on that, actually.
I feel like growing up, the Pixar movies they had a little more magic to them. I don't know, but it is what it is.
Disney magic.
Yeah. You know, but all right. I think we'll cut it there because it is 3:00, and 3:00, as everyone knows, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we play Call of Duty on Twitch, twitch.tv/pastthepopculture. So come out and hang out with us there. And then if you want to know when we do go live, because sometimes we do run a little late, we usually let people know on our Twitter or Instagram. Again, that's at Past the Pop Culture. Pretty much on all social media platforms, you can find us there. If you're listening to on YouTube, very much appreciate a like, subscribe, you know, drop a comment. If you disagree with us, let us know. Like, what do you think? Did you like Lightyear? Did you not like Lightyear?
Yep.
And just anything that you got to say. You know, are you going to try out the beta? You know, are you still playing Diablo? How much money?
Yeah, I want to know that. Diablo?
I want to know what people have been, you know, how much money they've been throwing at the game, if any, or if you're even playing it. So, yeah, I think that wraps everything up. So thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.